Ella was a girl with bright eyes and even brighter pigtails. She loved to explore. Her best friend, Mr. Whiskers, was always by her side. Ella as Ella, and Mr. Whiskers was a chubby tabby cat. He loved adventure as much as I did. One sunny afternoon, Ella skipped through Willowwood Park. Mr. Whiskers padded softly beside her. The park was old and quiet. The trees whispered secrets in the breeze. Ella as Ella, I wish something exciting would happen. Mr. Whiskers purred in agreement. He too was bored of the quiet park. Deep in the park stood an old carousel. It was hidden behind overgrown vines and forgotten flowers. The carousel horses were carved from dark wood. They had once been painted bright colours, but now the paint was faded and chipped. The air around the carousel felt heavy. Whispers seemed to drift from the painted horses. People said the carousel was haunted. They said it only came to life under the light of the moon. Ella as Ella, I had always been a little bit afraid of the carousel, but today curiosity outweighed my fear. Let's take a closer look, she squeezed Mr. Whiskers' paw. Ella and Mr. Whiskers pushed through the vines. The carousel horses seemed to watch them with their glassy eyes. The air grew colder as they stepped onto the platform. Ella as Ella. Hello? Her voice trembled a little. Only the wind answered her. It whistled through the carousel's poles, sounding almost like a sad song. Ella as Ella. I wish something magical would happen. As she opened her eyes, she felt the ground begin to tremble beneath her feet. The carousel creaked and groaned. The platform began to spin. Faster and faster it went, the horses rising and falling as if they were truly alive. Ella held tight to a pole, her eyes wide with surprise. Suddenly a figure shimmered into view beside her. It was a man, but he seemed to be made of mist and moonlight. He wore a tattered pirate hat and a mischievous grin. Captain Flint, as Captain Flint. Well, shiver me timbers! Looks like I have some passengers. I am Captain Flint, and you, my girl, have awakened the magic of the whispering carousel. Ella and Mr. Whiskers clung to the pole, their adventure just beginning. And so began Ella's magical adventure. The carousel, with Captain Flint at the helm, became their ship.
Wow, this is amazing!
They skimmed across shimmering lakes where tiny fairies danced on lily pads. It soared through the night sky, carrying Ella and Mr. Whiskers on a journey beyond their wildest dreams. They flew over mystic forests bathed in silver moonlight.
Aye, I've seen many wonders in my time on the high seas, but nothing quite like this.
Captain Flint told them stories of his adventures on the high seas. He spoke of a treasure called the Heartstone, a gem that held the key to breaking an ancient curse.
The Heartstone is hidden in the Mansion of Shadows. Only a heart full of bravery can touch it and break the curse that binds me to this carousel.
It sure does, Mr. Whiskers. But we can do it. Meow, sounds like quite the challenge, doesn't it, Ella?
The carousel finally came to a stop in front of a crumbling mansion. Thorny vines twisted around its decaying walls. The windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out into the night. This was the Mansion of Shadows, a place where sadness lingered like a shroud.
This is as far as I can go. I'm bound to the carousel. My only hope rests on your small shoulders, Ella. Be brave, little one. The Heartstone awaits.
Taking a deep breath, Ella stepped off the carousel and into the overgrown garden. Mr. Whiskers brushed against her legs, his purr a source of comfort in the eerie silence.
Here we go, Mr. Whiskers. Let's find that Heartstone and break the curse.
Purr. We'll do it together, Ella.
And so, with courage in her heart and her loyal companion by her side, Ella ventured into the unknown. The inside of the mansion was dark and dusty. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the air was thick with the scent of decay.
whispering, "This place, it feels so sad."
Ella tiptoed through the shadowy halls, her heart pounding in her chest. Finally, she reached a room at the very top of a winding staircase. In the center of the room, on a pedestal of velvet, rested a small grey stone. It pulsed with a faint inner light.
Softly, the Heartstone, but it looks so cold and lifeless.
Ella reached out to touch it, but a wave of sadness washed over her. She drew back her hand, tears stinging her eyes. The sadness in this room, the sadness trapped within the stone, was overwhelming.
Choking up, why does it feel so sad?
Ella realized then that the Heartstone wasn't cold and lifeless at all. It was filled with all the sadness that had seeped into the mansion over the years. She understood that to break the curse, she had to face that sadness. She had to offer it hope.
Determined, I have to give it hope.
Closing her eyes, Ella thought of all the happy memories she had made with Mr. Whiskers, of sunny days in the park and the simple joys of friendship. She thought of Captain Flint, trapped by the curse, and a desire to help bloomed in her heart.
Resolute, I can do this. For Captain Flint, for Willowwood Park.
With a deep breath, Ella touched the Heartstone. A blinding light filled the room. It pulsed with warmth and chased away the shadows. When the light faded, Ella looked down at the stone in her hand. It was no longer grey and cold, but warm and glowing.
Amazed, it's glowing.
The mansion trembled around them. Ella and Mr. Whiskers raced back to the carousel, clutching the glowing Heartstone. As soon as they were safely aboard, the carousel lifted into the air. Below them, the mansion of shadows crumbled and faded, replaced by a field of wildflowers.
Excited. Look, Mr. Whiskers, the flowers are coming back.
The carousel soared through the night sky, returning to Willowwood Park. As they flew, Ella noticed that the park below was changing. The trees seemed taller, their leaves a brighter green. The flowers bloomed with renewed life, their colours vibrant against the dark earth.
In awe, everything is so beautiful.
When the carousel finally came to a stop, the first rays of dawn were painting the sky with hues of pink and orange. Ella looked around in amazement. Willowwood Park was no longer a place of whispers and shadows. It was alive with the sound of birdsong and the laughter of children playing.
Joyful. We did it. We really did it.
Captain Flint, no longer a shimmering ghost but a man of flesh and blood, grinned down at Ella.
Booming, you did it, little one. You faced your fears and broke the curse.
He scooped her up in a hug.
Giggling. We did it together, Captain Flint.
Ella hugged him back, her heart filled with joy. She had faced her fears, and in doing so, she had brought hope and happiness back to Willowwood Park. As she played with Mr. Whiskers in the newly restored park, she knew that even the smallest heart could be brave, and that even in the darkest of times, hope could always be found.
Reflective. Even the smallest heart can be brave.
The carousel, its horses gleaming with fresh paint, spun merrily in the morning light. It was no longer the whispering carousel, but a symbol of joy and laughter, a reminder that even in the most ordinary of places, magic and adventure could always be found. All it took was a little bit of bravery and a heart full of hope.
Whispering. A heart full of hope.